Hey guys.
Hey, yo, everybody. What's up?
Wow, let's all talk at once.
You didn't think this was organized, did you?
No, this was definitely not organized. This is not Saturday and the wrong time, unless, I'm really messed up on my watch here.
Yeah, I know. It's really early for you, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's 5:30. It's not super early.
Well, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
Nah.
Well, we thought we'd just switch it up a little bit tonight. You know what I mean? We don't want to forget the freshwater planted tank people either.
Hey, we're people too. We demand to be represented.
Exactly.
You better unionize. Get a rep.
Unionize. I'm a rep.
Yeah.
So everybody, welcome to the stream. I know it's something different, direct, and out of the ordinary. We're usually talking reefs. This is the Reef Collective, but we're doing a little something different today, and it's from the cuff. We're shooting from the cuff, live and direct. We're going to talk about new builds, planted tank builds, and take your suggestions because you guys have input. So with that being said, how are we going to kick it off?
Well, one other thing first. If anybody that's hitting the links on StreamYard on Facebook, if you guys want your names showing up on the screen and we can talk to you directly, you have to hit that link to give permission so StreamYard can stream your name onto the show.
And Facebook users, sorry, I'm an interrupter. It's my lot in life. Facebook users, be advised that unless you gave StreamYard permission to use your name and show your name when joining on a stream, it just says Facebook user. So we don't see your name. We don't know who you are. So I see somebody says, hey, fellas. Yeah. I'm saying, hey, but I don't know who that is. So thank you.
Because I'm looking on Facebook right now and I can see their names, but they haven't hit the permission button. Especially Ryan Fiscal. It's probably him.
Fiscal. Oh man, so we got a lot going on. This is coming to the end of the year. Ryan, you got a big build. I got a build. Sean, he's got a build. We're running around like chickens with our head cut off. I don't know what else.
It's like, Sean, you think you're going to be starting a bigger build a freshwater tank?
Man,
I sort of hear it now and then.
This isn't a freshwater show. This is an intervention or something. Trying to convince me to start afresh now. I have a freshwater tank. It's a 6-gallon tank. It's perfect.
That's right, Ancient City Reefer. Freshwater needs more respect. Where's my gavel? I need one of those judge gavels.
Oh, exactly. And that's why I thought, we started doing some freshwater talks and stuff. We don't want to leave them out, especially, I'm getting into it myself. And, it's pretty exciting to do. And I just want to try to bring all the communities together and have a good time,
Well, the funny thing is, those of you that out there that know me and follow the channel know that I represent both. I have multiple saltwater tanks. I have multiple freshwater tanks. When there's a new species or a new challenge in the hobby, I try to bring it to both sides. Like we were talking controllers, I'm trying to introduce freshwater people to controllers because we basically have the same needs and requirements. Wow, my lights just did something funny.
Okay, I'm breaking my desk.
I forgot this thing is listening to me, and as I'm talking, it's kind of controlling stuff. So yeah, like that being said, freshwater tanks have requirements that saltwater tanks have, like pH and temperature and timing and testing. And sometimes we don't look at it. So we're going to look at both.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're hitting the nail on the head, especially like controlling your aquarium, having the redundancy. Like I made a post today in the Farm Reef Club about heaters and catastrophes. One of the biggest ones they lose in your tank is just from a heater.
Oh yeah. I actually have a heater. It just died. Literally today, a heater in my bottom tank under the forest just died. And luckily I have the room at a sufficient temperature. That tank doesn't have a temperature probe, and I just put it on a controller.
Really?
So it's so funny that happened.
So you got
my life. Yeah, I have to check it. So this is why I'm integrating the whole room so that I get notification. Like my lights just cut off, and I realized that, Ryan, as I changed the time in the nano tank,
yes,
I extended the daylights, but I didn't extend the actinics. So my lights just cut off, and I forgot, oh yeah, I extended the daylights and not the actinics. And the color is actually really interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, definitely having the control is And like on my new tank, I'm putting the control 4 from Hydros on there, and it's going to have, the pH, temperature, all that. So it's going to be cool to add that on there.
D, they make this little thing called an ink bird. You should get one of those.
I actually have the ink bird in a box here somewhere, but this tank that actually went off. No, this tank that went off is my quarantine tank. It's a planted tank, so I really don't put that much attention into it. The tank above it, I just put on Google Home, so I can see it, I can control it. It's the little things, which is exactly why we have the collective, is the address. The one thing that you don't expect to go wrong always goes wrong.
Yeah. So here's the question then, since we're talking about freshwater stuff. If saltwater people can suffer from LARs, then what do freshwater people suffer from?
Yeah, good point.
It's the same thing. The same thing.
But it can't be LARs because it's not reefer.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm lazy as hell because as I swing around here, I have plants growing out of the tank so far since I changed that light that it's almost touching me. So that's kind of Lars on a freshwater scale.
Just trying to strangle you, D.
It's trying. I think it's a little shop of horrors.
What is like the one thing that you have Lars with it? Is it like trimming plants or,
Well, here's a perfect example. Whereas you guys run the dosetronics and the alkatronics and you're constantly testing the water.
Yeah.
I rarely know a planted guy that tests the water that much, although many of us dose CO2. So now you guys know from the reef side, the CO2 can slowly drop your pH.
Yeah.
So now if you don't know your pH is dropping, at what point do you notice it in the freshwater? It's usually when a fish dies. Unless you're injecting oxygen into the tank, which new people, for your build, Ryan, new people know that when you're dosing the CO2, many people don't show it, like in the high-end planted aquarium channels. It is very good idea to dose oxygen at night. If your CO2 is stopping, no problem. But to kind of get your tank balanced, I always keep oxygen running in a tank that I'm putting CO2 in. And it's many people will probably say, blah, 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 you don't know what you're talking about, yada, yada, yada. You don't have to do it, but it offsets that like sudden drop in oxygen.
Oh, really?
Could you just put a bubbler in your sump and not have to worry about it?
If you're using a sump, a lot of people use canisters and there's no oxygen exchange in a canister. That's what I was telling your buddy when he was talking about the canister. That's the difference. You can run a canister, but there's no oxygen exchange in the canister.
It makes sense. Makes sense.
You're thinking because I'm running a sump, we'll just run a bubbler in there?
If you're running a sump, you won't have the problem because, if you use bio balls or if you'll actually you may shed off your CO2.
Yeah.
Because as you disrupt the water and that splatter, it releases the CO2 back into the room.
Right, yeah, because I see a lot of people are like, oh, you're running a sump, the CO2 is going to be very difficult for you to run.
You lose a lot in the sump.
Okay. But if you're just pumping it directly into the tank, is everything going to absorb it first before it goes into the sump? You know what I mean?
Well, think of a garden hose. Think of a garden hose, right? And you loop both ends together. Now, the water circulating. Anything in that garden hose is going to stay in there. CO2 builds up because oxygen depletes, and you have CO2. Now, if you break or get a leak in the garden hose, just loosen it up, it starts releasing into the room. So now your CO2 releases into the room, and that splatter, there's what you want your plants to get. That's why I try to do tanks without CO2, just so that the plants don't get dependent on it. And then if I inject it little by little,
so you should start off slow. You should start off slow, you're saying?
I wouldn't start a tank with the CO2. I would plant the tank first.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of ways to do it, and a lot of people will tell you otherwise. Plant the tank, get it circulating, clear it out. You're running a sump, so you're going to lose a majority of the CO2.
Yeah. I wonder if there's a way that I could try to not let it happen, as much.
You can use it. I mean, you can still use CO2,
Yeah.
but you'll find yourself using more in order to keep a certain level of growth because if it's running through a trickle filter or splattering, it's going to release it into the air, which is why if you look at, I'm trying to think of a lot of channels like ADA or one of those channels, you'll usually see that they don't disturb the surface of the water. They usually have their pumps under the surface so
Yeah.
that they don't release the CO2 into the air. They want to keep it suspended in the water as long as possible.
Yep. What do you think?
I see Sean processing.
Yeah, he's processing it.
Well, I'm thinking like with my water box, I have very, and I mean very little splashing in my sump. Like everything's designed to be stepped and stuff, so it's just smooth flowing with everything.
But that doesn't take into consideration the sump.
No, but there isn't any dropping in the sump.
Then you'll be all right.
Well, my water comes down, but it goes into a section in the sump that's just constantly full of water. So there isn't any splashing. It just flows.
Then that's the better configuration.
Yeah, so I could do something like that. Like when I designed my sump, I sort of did it like the Hulk. So my first chamber, all the return lines are down in the water, and then it flows over into the filter socket. But this one I'm going to be flowing over into like filter floss. You know what I mean? I was thinking the filter floss would be the best bet for the fresh water.
Easy peasy. Well, also, we're talking about CO2, and we haven't even discussed what kind of plants you're going to have. A lot of plants do not require CO2.
Right.
And if you're using a fertile or plant-based substrate for the first beginning of their life cycle, they'll try to root up, in which they'll be getting the nutrients from the roots.
Right. Makes sense. There, we got one comment here from Reef Ninja. How do you guys feel about dry method starting a planted tank?
Well, we just looked at that. Didn't we look at somebody there where I did that one time. Actually, did I do that in this tank? The tank where the heater broke, I actually did that.
Yeah.
I covered it in plastic, like what is it, Reynolds wrap?
Yeah.
And I sprayed it. But it depends on the plants, where you get them from. Because I got generally, I'll be honest, I got a lot of plants from Petco, which is really close to me, because a lot of places don't have the plants. And they already have the plants submerged in water.
Oh, okay.
So now when you take the plants and you're trying to grow them out of water, it's shocking them again, because now you have to keep them wet.
Yeah, like that's the thing. And some of the, like say some of the plants that you get, they're like you said, they're already growing out. So you can't really do that unless you start them small, right? You know what I mean?
If you get it from a person. Like I have H2O Plants. He's a member of our club. He's in New Jersey. H2O Plants. He actually gets his farm raised plants. So they're usually grown in Florida where they're not all the way out of the water. And if you start with something like that, or Vallisneria or a Anubias type plant, simple plants, they can withstand being out of the water, but they have to be wet.
See, this is my local fish store here, and pretty much everything is grown out. They have like it trickles down, all different kinds of plants, heights. And at the same time, in this back little fridge back here, they have small ones that are just growing with the rooted in like little pots that you could do that method. You know what I mean?
And those little pots are the horticultural, the gene cultured plants.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
will easily start off their cycle because they're already immersed. They're not submersed.
Right.
And so I'm not confusing everybody, because I hate using complicated terminology. Immersed, they're out of the water but damp. They're rooted in water, but they're grown like not completely covered in water. Submersed, they're completely underwater. And when we buy the plants from the store, like in the picture you showed, the plants in the tank are submersed. But see the Java moss in this cup that you're filming?
Yep.
That is immersed, and you can probably start that plant out in your tank, just spraying it with water, wetting the substrate, and letting it get acclimated, and then you can fill the tank with water probably after you see the first signs of growth.
The same, like I'm doing like driftwood as well, and I see the guys, they put the moss on it and then they wrap it.
It does real good.
Yeah, what are they using to wrap with it? Is it just like any kind of line?
What do you mean wrap it? Like the rope wrap it or wrap in the tank?
Yeah, so they want the moss to attach to the wood that's growing in the tank. So they put the moss on it, they wrap it, and then they submerge it, and then it grows naturally onto it.
Just super glue it.
Regular thread, regular cotton thread.
Yeah.
But what I've been doing more and more is I've been using the cyanocoagulant, the same glue that we use on frags, you can use on plants. It's just a perfect example of how the science has not completely spoken to both sides of the hobby.
Yeah.
Most of the old time growers, like you'll see ADA and all these guys, they've been gluing plants for years. But some people will silicone their wood to the tank before putting the substrate in the tank so that the wood doesn't float up.
That sounds painful. Why would you want to silicone your wood to the tank?
Whoa, I don't know where you're going with that, Sean. But I'm not walking into that one.
Yeah, like my local store, like it's got some really good sized plants there, and I'm thinking this is the way I'm going to go with it.
So, like, okay, I see Clinton John McClurk in there. He says, keep your return underwater and use an inline diffuser. Now, I have several people that I know have blessings for the inline diffuser, and just so an inline diffuser is, let's say you have a canister filter, or let's say you have the return coming back from your tank, from your sump.
Right.
An inline diffuser will tee off of that line and take your CO2 line and inject it directly into the water line going into your tank. So your CO2 is getting forced into your water stream.
It makes sense.
But I have heard complaints of the inline diffusers getting backwashed from the water coming from those pumps and ending up in your CO2 tank, which can really ruin your day. But
really, eh? So this is what I was going to go with right here to start off with.
Those are awesome.
Yeah, this is the one I have right here.
Now, question.
Yeah.
The $1 million question, because let's get the specs on this tank, because a lot of people are jumping in and they don't have that much information. I don't know how much you want to diverge.
Yeah, but you can only diverge so much.
But you can
fresh water.
Sorry, what was that, Scott?
I said, but you can, okay, so you guys just said that you can only diverge so much there and everything. Yes, but you can divulge a lot.
Oh, true. Thank you for correcting my broken English. Divulge.
Clinton says you'll need like 5, probably.
5 what for the? Not really. You don't really use that much, because either you increase the stream of CO2 going to that diffuser, or you don't have to put 3 and 4, even though that's a pretty big tank.
Would you put one on each end, maybe? Plus, I'm having like flow pumps in the tank as well. It'll help.
I don't think you need more than one.
No.
Couldn't you run the CO2 resistant piping and put it right in front so it bubbles out, like right in front of your return, and have it mix and go through the return and go up with a backflow preventer attached to it?
Or the power head. If you have a power head, you can put it right under the power head or close to it, where it'll pull into the stream of water shooting across your tank, and you'll get a good distribution.
I did, where is that thing? I got these are what I'm putting in my tank here. Let me share this with you. So I got a couple of these.
Facebook user, who's got the best reef tank out of you 3? Ryan's got the biggest and the best, man.
No, that's not nice to say.
It's not the
He's
best.
got the biggest. He's got the biggest.
He's got the biggest.
I have the oldest. The oldest.
Mine's still young. Mine's still a young reef.
But it's so funny.
Mine's technically not much older than yours. Younger? I'm not sure. Do we want to go with time frame that stuff has been used and put into it, or do we want to go from start date?
Well, let's put it like this. I constantly get requests for frags that I pretty much barely have stuff. I'm constantly growing stuff and take it out of the tank. Growing it, take it out of the tank. So now I don't know what I want to put in the reef now, because I did SPS in the nano. I did LPS in the nano. I did softies in both tanks. I did zinnia and tick them out. I did the thing where you plant them on the skull. What is it? You plant the GSP on the skull and grow that. That
Yep.
completely got out of proportion. If anybody's thinking of that, that completely got out of control where I had zinnia in like 5 tanks. So I won't do that again.
Yep. Gets out of control, that stuff.
But if I had the room for a 8-foot, New York, we don't have space. That's the problem.
True. It's true, eh? Space.
Okay, my next reef build is going to be a 12-foot lagoon tank.
A lagoon?
Lagoons are nice. Lagoons are nice. Be able to look top-down view and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, wait a minute. Saltwater lagoon?
Yes.
Ah. Now, what are you going to do? Chop into the floor?
No.
Or are you going to use tubs?
It'll be an actual tank.
Yeah, you just cut it down. That's it. Make a leak.
12 feet long.
So I have been tackling a problem that started probably from increasing the light. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tanks in this little circle where I'm sitting. So now, for those that don't know, and you can see this glare behind me in the Reef Collective all the time, I went from a reef-oriented light to a high-intensity LED regular garage light that's 6500K, which is for planted tank people, the ideal planted, yada, yada, yada. This light is so bright that it lights the entire area. So
Yeah.
since there's no hood on this tank and you can see the glare, it actually, the tanks in front actually pick up this light. So if this light cuts on before that one, it's lighting this tank. So I had to change the schedule of the tank. So that's something to keep in mind, Ryan. If that tank is by the window, are you going to black it out?
I don't know. I don't know yet. I have a blind there. It works.
How much light goes through the blind?
Not too much.
Oh, so
I'll
you're
send you a
good.
picture sometime, and you can give it your expert opinion.
Hey, there's no experts. I'm learning something every day. Let me tell you.
Clinton says the goal of a diffuser is to create a fine mist. When you turn the gas up too much, you get great big bubbles.
Yeah, but here's a trick, Clinton. If you put that fine mist in front of a power head, a wave maker, you don't see it.
See,
It's
yeah,
even finer. It becomes. I do that in my reef tank upstairs. I have an airline that runs directly into the what the heck is the name of the Seche, into the Seche, and if I turn that even a dime, that whole tank is mist. It's really like bubble scrubbing. It's really pretty, but it clears your tank like you wouldn't believe. After you bubble scrub, my skimmer is black. It's like black.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing what it can do.
It really does a good job. And somebody that, came by and saw the tank, they says, "Oh, you ever did this?" So I learned something.
So these are the CJ pumps or extremes from CJ that I'm putting in the tank. So if I put my CO2 diffuser near those, it'll blow through the tank.
I mean, in there should work.
Great.
Well, that's what I do. I have that Seche. I have the extreme, the Seche, and I have the line. I'm not running CO2. I'm running an airline.
Yeah.
Right behind the rear of that pump, and it creates automatic mist. It chops it up because that impeller is speeding through at how many rotations per second?
Yep.
A lot.
Yeah. So imagine if you're pushing 1,200 or better gallon flow through that and you're forcing CO2 into it.
Exactly. So this is my CO2 setup that I got here. Getting everything ready. And then with the Coral Hydros, the solenoid.
I still need to hook mine up.
What's that?
I still need to hook mine up.
What, the CO2 tank?
No, just the solenoid.
I didn't hear what you said, Sean.
Oh, I said I still need to hook mine up.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to hook this into the system.
Hey, my buddy Logan, is that Mr. Logan? Logan just bought a 120 gallon that we had in our club storage unit. So yes, what's up to Logan? And yeah, the CO2 works better when it's actually hooked up, Sean. You know, I just heard the little bird told me that, you know. Is it filled?
Oh yeah, it's good to go.
Oh, okay.
Right now I'm actually wiring up all my lighting and soldering and all that stuff because I ended up doing a DIY lighting system on my tank. I'm almost done it. That's one thing. What?
Did you just say that your tank is filled?
No.
Okay, I was a little worried. I was like, you haven't even done aquascape or anything like at all yet, and you've already got it filled? Man, you were really jumping the gun, right?
Oh, I know, right? It's taken forever. Like I've been working on this thing like every day. Like I'm doing my own lighting, so of course instead of just buying it, it's taking twice as long because here I am building and soldering and doing my thing. But I enjoy doing that stuff, but it takes a little bit longer.
So that's going to be a topic all by itself when you're done. The DIY lighting versus stock lighting. Because I tell you, I'm getting ready to replace the lights on my other. I have this one's 30 inches tall. That one, is it 30 inch? I think that one is 2 feet tall. But I'm getting so much growth in this tank that I can't justify using anything else for 10 times the cost. I mean, 10 times the cost.
Yeah.
I had 5 times the cost on here and things were staying alive. But if I show you, I have mint growing out of this tank.
Seriously.
And I mean out of the tank. That I have bamboo growing out of the tank. I have plants that I took from the greenhouse, brought them inside, and they're growing faster now. So you can't argue with results.
Right. Okay, so I gotta go grab a drink here in a second. There was a question used or asked about nutrients and substrate and everything. That is entirely you guys. But real quick, root heaters. I don't because all of my plants don't need it, so I'm lazy like that.
This one here, do you guys know?
Just answering that one real quick before I run off and do this, and you guys answer that substrate question because I have no idea.
I don't know anybody using root heaters. The only people I know that use anything similar to a mat heater are for reptiles, only because they need a warm substrate. Fish are cold-blooded, so fish and plants adapt to the water temperature as long as you don't drop it or raise it too quick. And yes, Logan, the discus are doing very well. I have to get them to eat because Logan knows we went to our place. We went to Monster Aquarium in Queens, and my buddy D, the other D, New York Gold on YouTube, talked me into pulling the trigger and buying the discus. And I have went and bought these baby discus, and they're beautiful fish. But I have a dozen tetras that are much quicker at eating than the baby discus. Bigger discus, maybe. Baby discus, I have to make sure they eat.
You don't have any pictures, of them?
Yeah, let me pull that. Ay.
You want to see the light I'm working on?
Yeah, let me see the light that you got going here.
Look how flat that baby is.
Oh, wow.
So that is equivalent to a 300-watt LED, but it's only pumping out 75 watts.
And now you're not using any kind of heat sink to dissipate the heat?
Everything is, I've already tested it. It works fine. That's just the way it rolls.
No heat dissipation?
No, they run fine.
That's interesting.
You see, you guys can see, like, I got my hangers on the back here. So this right here is one of those, remember, like the Hydra STX hangers. So I had them for my other LED lighting. So I ended up making a mounting bracket and mounting it on here and just sliding it on. So Sean, this
Ryan's got tools.
This is
You
equivalent.
got tools there like Iron Man, like you're building an Iron Man suit.
Yeah, so this light here is equivalent to 300 watts, but only pumping at 75 watts. So I got 4 of these. They're 12 inches by 12 inches, but they spread 30 by 30.
So now, what LED modules are you using? Do you know what Kelvin rating you're using, or 5,000 Ks, 6,500 Ks, or?
I think the 3,500. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, 3,500.
So that's closer to what we call warm white.
Yeah.
I would definitely look for the 6,500 Ks if you're going to use a lot of plants.
Yeah. I have to double check the.
I'm gonna do it. Because I was looking at Ancient Gardens the other day. That tank is amazing, and I'm like, if I'm gonna do a planted tank, I want one like that.
You know what they say: go big or go home.
I'm saying.
All right. I'm meshing with the fish bit. Don't make fun of me, Ryan. I'm turning my lights on. I don't want to use my Google because all of you guys' devices will go nuts if I start talking to it. Okay, I'm setting it for 60 minutes. Boom, boom. And it comes on like sunrise, so it's flick. Oh, wrong light. Yeah, so lighting is everything. When you talk about lighting a reef tank, same thing with a planted tank. Lighting is everything.
Exactly. But that's why I was thinking, like, trying to do my own setup.
Even if you're not focusing on the CO2, you're still going to need the lighting.
Yep.
I think it's more important than the CO2 personally, because I'm not running any CO2 in any of the tanks, and they all have plants. But then again, I have easy to raise plants, and I'm blasting them with light.
That's true.
So,
did you want to throw yours on the screen here?
Yeah, like I have this here. This tank is 30 inches tall. So when I say I have cryptocorna and I have some pretty more light sensitive plants in the base level of the tank, you're talking about lighting all the way down pretty much 30 inches away from the light. And as the other tank plants grow above it, you're blocking them out. So spread, like I'm glad you have the 12 by 12s.
Yeah.
Because the spread, this pothos is, I would say, 3 feet long. It's growing from the base of this tank up through the top, through the side, and this leaf, if you can see that, is the size of my hand. And this is just me cutting it every day. And that's
Really?
with one light. That's with one light. Now I have bamboo in here. I'll go through the plants. I have kabambo, which is an easy to grow plant. This is what you see floating. I keep that because I have egg layers in here.
Okay.
I have Anubias, which I've glued, and that's floating because I got tired of seeing Anubias on the base of the tank. Every time somebody has a tank, they usually have Anubias, which is just an open stem plant. They usually just stick it in the bottom. I want to see it, and I can see the root structure growing. So this from here is roots.
That's pretty amazing. I love how right out of the tank like that.
That's I'm trying to shoot that idea. If you have the wood coming out of your tank,
well, yeah,
imagine that. It looked like a tree.
Well, see, that's the thing, right? So I ordered this system that I can grow plants on the wall. So I'm going to be growing plants on the wall behind the tank. So it'll end up hiding the lighting system somewhat. You know what I'm trying to say? So that's why I went with these lighting, because the spread will actually spread onto the wall and help grow those plants, and they'll grow over the wood and slowly grow it into the tank a bit. You know what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah. Now it's going to be behind the tank. Are you going to be able to reach behind that?
Yeah, with a ladder.
Because you got to water it, right?
No, I'm going to put a watering system in it from the tank. So
why do I even ask? Why do I ask?
It'll help filter the water naturally from the plants on the wall.
So you're going to do a water wall that's going to allow you to grow your plants on it that's attached and running through your tank's water system?
Yes.
So you're going to capture. Go ahead, Sean.
I said, you have too much time or money. Like,
Well, I got to try to do something different.
that's
that's the epitome of aquaponics. That's what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
Is I'm growing garden plants, which is meant with the tank water, which filters the water. But now Ryan is sending water outside the tank to an outer system. Now, how do you capture that water and bring it back? I'm not going to spoil the surprise, because when you go into the build, I absolutely have to see that.
Yeah, I thought it would be a really great natural way. It'll cover the wall behind it, so it's not plain. It's going to have plants, and then it's going to help filter the water at the same time.
So now I'm going to go one left. I'm going to go left field, because my wife and I were shopping. I know I was talking to you. I was in the supermarket, and I told my wife, I says, look, quinoa. Quinoa is like a grain, but next to it they had chia. So I was like, wait a minute, chia is like chia pet, right? Chia seeds. So I'm like, wow, what an idea if I can go up the side of this rock. This stone comes out of the water.
Whoops.
As we lost him now.
I'm done. I'm done. I went south.
He's back.
So I was going to say, what if I can go up this rock? This rock is 2.5 feet tall from the base up, and it extends up almost to the top of the tank. So I said, what if I get chia seeds and go up the side of that rock and grow that out of the water? It would look like the mountainside, like growing out of water.
Yep.
Okay, Ryan, I'm stealing your idea, but I'm going to do it with saltwater and GSP.
Jeez, just take it.
How do you?
There's already enough copycats out there in the YouTube world.
Hey, my boy Oscar is here. What's up, Oscar?
You know what I mean?
There's
already enough copycats out there, Calquas or PH, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
Intro music. What?
What'd you say? Intro users?
Intro music.
Sorry. We're talking about this, but Amy's sitting here taking notes and everything so that she can give Cassandra a test after the show.
Hey, Amy, how's it going tonight, Amy?
I think Amy's building a doomsday device. She's been working on that tank day in and day out.
Right?
I want to see her build this water change system, because she changes water so much I get tired.
Right?
But if you can reuse the water, isn't that our goal in the hobby? I wish I could reuse the salt water that we throw out.
Right. Why couldn't I was gonna say, like, you could almost like solar evaporate it again, but would it be clean though?
Well, you solar evaporate it, you capture all of the cook.
The salt's left over, but at the same time, you're probably gonna get the junk in there, right?
Well, if you solar evaporate it, wouldn't that leave you with super distilled water?
I don't know, but that's how they do it. Like some of the companies, like H2O Ocean, it's the solar evaporated.
Wow, we may have to get them on here. Like, now you got my brain working.
Well, they take the water, they put it into pools, and when they evaporate it, and that's what's left over. Then they add their own mix to it, right? Their own recipe, a little bit higher magnesium, calcium, alkalinity.
So what if we could reuse that water? If you guys are out there, Neptune, all you guys companies, if you guys are out there, can find a way to recycle the water that we put in the water changes, this hobby will go through a breakthrough like nobody's business.
Yeah, but you know why nobody's doing that, right? Because we're gonna put everybody else out of business.
Oh, what did that?
And we won't sell salt anymore. Well, we still need salt, right?
If you're recycling it, let's be honest.
Well, you'd need salt, because you still can't reuse salt. It's like reusing oil. Wouldn't you have to filter it again?
Well, that's exactly what he was talking about with that other company, with them putting the water in, and then all the water evaporates, and then they use all the salt and everything is left over.
Yeah.
You do the same thing. You would just have to find a way to clear out all the impurities and the extra chemicals that get added and stuff like that. Yeah, you could recreate your saltwater by doing like reverse osmosis or whatnot on your saltwater, but at what cost?
An ionizer. Isn't that what an ionizer does? Like it purifies and sends the water back to your tank. You ever see those inline ionization filters? They're not really big anymore. That was a passing fad. They were supposed to filter your water without mechanical or something.
I belong to you. I belong to you. Do just what you want. You're the one I trust.
Whoa, we just had a commercial break.
After this commercial break.
Well,
And now a word from our sponsor.
It just happens naturally, guys.
We need like a countdown timer alarm or something. Something that comes on right before it. Break coming.
It can happen anytime.
So I'd be interested to see out there in the comment land how many of you guys have freshwater and saltwater tanks, since there's a big belief that most saltwater people start as freshwater people. Yeah. Even though I know, Ryan, you started off as saltwater?
Myself, I did freshwater stuff. I used to build a lot of koi ponds and stuff on the farm and all that stuff. And then when I was just getting out of high school is when I got into reef tanks.
Now, which one you think is harder?
I don't know. This freshwater is really, I find it differently challenging. I know you're like,
Sean's saying no.
Do it right. Like I have the ways I want to do it, and everyone's like, oh, you don't want to do that. And then that's the part that stresses you out. You know what I mean? Hey, I'll just go for it like I usually do.
Start up an initial build with fresh is hard because there's a lot more things that you got to kind of look at it, especially if you're getting into planted tanks. That
look good. You want to look like a piece of shit. You know what I mean?
But I think that's tricky too, because not everybody starts their saltwater or their freshwater tank the same way. Mm-hmm. Some people start with dry rock. Some people start with live rock. Some people start with plain sand in a freshwater tank. Some people start with dirt. Some people start with planted like ADA planting, mixed soil, fluvial stratum, and all of this fancy stuff.
Yeah. I bought carob seed, dumped like 3/4 of a bag into my 6-gallon tank, put water in it, and said, "Here you go, fishies."
Is that what you do? So I got soil, and I got sand, and I got clay right now. So I end up doing research. It said to add clay, 1 pound of clay for every 15 gallons of water or something, like, if I can't remember. But then I end up getting clay balls to put in I got a couple. I can actually show you what they are. Give me 1 second here.
But to answer that question, I started with salt. Like I only got a freshwater tank because I got an amazing hookup on a sweet ass beta and was like, all right, fine, I'll get into fresh. I spent more on the lid for my freshwater tank than the tank itself.
That's funny, because if I told you I started with freshwater, but I tried salt 3 times. One time I even flooded the house because I had a hang on the back protein skimmer.
No, did you?
And I couldn't figure out why the water level kept dropping. I thought I had a crack in the tank. I had a 55-gallon. I emptied it, went to Petland, bought another 55, transferred everything over, and it was leaking again, just to find out it was the skimmer leaking out the back of the tank.
Oh, that sucks, man.
Yeah, my back was hurting that day. My neighbor was pissed.
So I got these clay balls. I got 2 big bags of them where I can put it into the soil because, reading the roots will go to get the iron.
So now what I would say to do is, because the clay, you got to rinse the clay. Make sure it's not floating, because do you want to see it? Do you want to see those clay balls?
Oh, they should be. I'm going to put them deep down in the substrate, into the soil, right? I'll put them down and then cover them all up with the soil and sand.
So now, because when you're using the sand, I found out the hard way, the sand compacts. So usually when they use sand, when I use sand, I tried to mix it with a plant substrate.
Okay.
And it always shows, sand will show anything under it. Like, I don't know how long it's expected to stay hidden, but something about sand, it always compacts in whatever, like you try to do black sand and a white sand or dirt and sand, the sand always ends up mixing with the dirt. I don't know why. Like those tanks that you see on those channels where they're pristine, you better believe those guys are manicuring those tanks on a regular basis.
Yeah, hey.
See, that's what I love about my freshwater tank. I don't do anything but water change and feed.
That's it. That's what I do.
I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you one thing right here. So this one's at my local fish store. The guy that works there, he ended up doing this tank. It's pretty cool. Like it's really grown out.
Wow.
Usually has it trimmed up pretty good, but look at those fish, man. Isn't that sweet?
Those are nice.
And he's
But
running
see those plants?
he's running the radions over them. See them?
Like he's got some thin strain Ritalin there.
Yeah.
He's got some easier growing like swords mixed in there. He's got some easy to grow plants. You should ask him. Oh, let me see. Don't move. I see a lot of overflows there.
Yeah, oh, in the back there. I don't know why it's taking forever.
Like he may have multiple canisters on that tank. I can't really tell.
It looks like at least 2.
But see, the thing is, like, I want to do discus, but at the same time, like, I really love a lot of the small fish that do a lot of movement. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you can get them that go together just fine.
Yeah, I know. But
Well, that's what I have.
Growing out quite a bit.
You can do schools. There's nothing better than you got a long tank and a
That's why I want like a
fish.
school of fish. I don't want to just sitting around. You know what I mean?
You can get like 50 neons or 50 rummy nose, and they will be moving all the time. Oh, let me pull that up. Let me see.
Yeah, I'll show you that one too. I took a little video while I was there. Where is that? Thought I did. Where is it?
See, Amy had discus with a whole bunch of stuff mixed with it.
Yeah. I was looking at here. I'll show you these ones. There's a guy. I'll show you here. Guy in Toronto. He breeds these ones in Toronto. He's got all different kinds.
Those are sweet.
But he's looking like $160 a piece.
That's cheap though for some discus.
Well, they're about 6 inches, 7 inches. He said.
Yeah, those are adult size, pretty much. Those are breeding size. You can breed those at those size,
right?
At that size. See, now I'll tell you firsthand, and the regular discus keepers can correct me. Buying the baby discus, I got a great deal because it's one of our big supporting stores, and the babies tend to be cheaper for that reason. But they're not the fastest fish on the planet. They're slow to eat. So if you have them in there with other fish that are fast, oh boy, you better feed that tank 20 times a day because they're messy fish.
Are they that messy? Are they?
Yeah, because they eat a lot. It's just that they're slow. The bigger ones are faster. The little ones, I'm finding that I'm feeding them more than I regularly feed the tank. So now I'm doing a lot more water, siphoning out water changes.
What are the temperature you running, keeping them on? I heard it's pretty low.
I raised it to 80. It was at 77, 78, which I usually keep it at. But since I had the discus in there, I'm running it at 80. And some people say to run it higher than that.
Yeah, I heard 85.
Yeah.
Yeah, 85.
Wow.
So what kind of plants can you run at 85?
A lot.
Yeah.
You can run a lot of plants.
I've been doing seems to be contradicting.
Oh, Richard Gene Sequin. I love roseline barbs too for a big tank. They're a pretty fish. I'll pull that up.
It's friendly though. That's what I mean. It's like, what can you do? That's why I want to have like different kind of like shrimp and stuff in there.
And you don't want to like roseline barb. Well, even a discus will eat what it can fit in its mouth.
Exactly.
So, yeah, let's look at a school of those, and I'll share that.
Okay. They were asking what controller I'm going to be running on here. I'll show you guys. So we're going to be running the new Hydros Control 4. Sean's got these running on his tank as well. He liked it so much, I'm like, well, I'm going to try it.
They're awesome.
And they're not that big either.
And you guys, so it looks like I'll be trying it in my home of technology.
D, you said you guys 3 times and then phased out and then started talking again. What'd you say?
There's a size comparison.
I says I got the Hydros coming too, so I'm gonna go through that build and I'm gonna take you guys along for the ride, because where I'm not putting it on one tank, I'm gonna tie it into at least these 6 tanks here.
Yep.
After today, seeing that heat go out, I didn't realize that I wasn't monitoring that heater, and thank God I noticed it today.
Well, that's the biggest thing, right? Especially in, like their power bar or whatever, it's wireless, so you can move it around, right? You don't have to put it right where your controller is. That's what I like about it. So
this has got 98-foot range. It's like a 98.
So if you have them all in the same room or whatever, and you can put, another power bar behind this one, but you're controlling it off the same control floor, that's pretty sweet. You don't have to run any kind of network cable or anything in between them.
I think that's the big limiting thing. That's the one thing that we probably get hung up. You end up with a lot of wires in these tanks, and I think everybody that starts out doesn't have they don't have a real idea of how much is running in these tanks until you got the wire octopus under it.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's always something new, a new reactor, a new, be it macro or just a regular reactor, or a new skimmer, or a new light, or a new diffuser, like there's always something.
Or new Astrotronic, Sean.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm waiting for
Diatronic. You get the Diatronic.
So like
my Diatronic is coming soon.
Well, my water box, I have 10 things plugged in on it. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, that's a lot of stuff to have plugged in. And I got rid of power bricks because I've got the wave engine. So all of my wave makers, they're all direct drive into the wave engine. So I have 1 power cable instead of 4. Like, he cut down on a lot there, but it's amazing how much technology can get thrown into these tanks.
Yeah, exactly. I had a person ask me today, if the power goes out, did they recycle back on? Do they save what they were saved at?
Yeah, everything's all uploaded to the cloud, and your programming's all on the cloud, and it all just reboots it all back up.
Yeah. So you got something you want to share here, D?
Yeah, I was just showing the Roseline barbs.
Yeah,
when you have them in full color, a group of those is amazing.
Yeah, those are nice.
But I wouldn't say that they're the safest for shrimp. I would say that.
Come on, I've got a single shrimp with my betta.
Oh, do you?
I put 4 in. The betta killed the other 3.
Well, I'll swing this around. I'll swing the camera around, and I'll bring that back online. So you can see I'm going to network these tanks together. And one of the reasons why is because I'm playing possum. I'm monitoring saltwater tanks, and I'm not monitoring the freshwater tanks. So if we spin around my junky fish room here, you'll see that I have 2 tanks which are housing killifish in the bottom corner there. And then I have the 11-gallon cube, which was originally a breeder tank for saltwater mollies, which is now a breeder tank for spotted cardinal tetras that I'm breeding out. I'm trying to get them to spawn there. I got a feeling my male may have a clutch in his mouth. He may be carrying eggs. I'm crossing my fingers. And then I have a bridge, which you can't see. I'm going to try to scroll down. I just turned the lights off on that tank. I have a bridge that you can see, that cedar bridge that connects the 2 areas together.
Yep.
My Wi-Fi controller is actually under that bridge and controls all of the tanks south of the nano tank. So my goal with the Hydros is to have all of those tanks under one controller and I'm going to tie them into this 360-degree camera. If you guys are not familiar with this camera, I'll probably be posting it very, very soon. Right now, I'm not posting it because I've been testing it for the past few weeks, and it is phenomenal, the picture. Ryan will tell you, I'm looking at my tanks at work all day.
I know.
I'm
you always send me pictures.
And it takes snapshots. It takes snapshots. So I don't know if I can see the button here because I have the control on. I'm going to turn the control off. I can go to the full screen here.
That's
and
cool.
I can literally take snapshots if I see something out of the ordinary. And this is not in high def. This is right now, so you can see my glasses dirty on the cube. This is in low def. So
Yes.
I can hit the speaker if my wife is home. If I notice something's wrong with the tank, I can zoom in on the tank, both the freshwater and the saltwater, and I can talk to her through the camera. So I can say, hey, look, the 2 killie tanks, the lights are off.
Yep.
So I can control the tanks. I'm going to tie these up into the hydro system. So Carlos, if you're out there, I'm kicking the hell out of the tires. I'm going to test that system like nobody's business. So if you guys aren't subscribed to our channels, you better subscribe now, because if you ever had any doubt in a system or look to get into the system, I'm going to be testing it. I'm going to tie all of these things into the system, including the planter tank.
It's gonna be some work.
Yep.
I have right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 light fixtures that need to be connected to this controller, and I control them through Google Home. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 smart devices currently running my basement. So you planted tank people, yes, you can use a controller for a planted tank. It's not just for saltwater people.
Yep.
I would advise it more for the planted tank people, just because how many times has your stuff crapped out and you didn't know until your tank was 60 degrees or like something died or your light bulb blew out.
Yeah, it's just nice having that control. Like, I love having control over my tanks. I'm at work. I can see what's going on. I definitely want to get this camera. You have D, so I'm going to try to put a smart station. I can look at the Hulk. I can look at the Wolverine at the same time. It's definitely, especially when we're on live on these streams, we can show our tanks off and how they're doing a bit too. That'd be handy.
Well, this was the first time I tried it during a live stream.
Good, man.
And as you can see, that picture is clear. So imagine through your phone, and that's on standard definition.
Yep.
I believe this camera it's greater than 1080. It may be 4K. I'm not gonna quote that, but
4K.
That's on standard. That's not on HD. On HD, I can zoom in so close that I can see leopard Daniels. A leopard Daniel freshwater fish is this big. I can see it from my cell phone at work.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. I'm definitely going to order one of them up. Probably. You got an affiliate link, buddy? I'll send it to you.
Nah, I need to hook you up, because I got to hook you up. Or are they gonna hit you in customs? I send something from America. I already got burned this week shipping shit.
I get lots of stuff shipped from the US all the time. Usually it's pretty good. No problem. Oscar here.
One of those cameras to see when my roommates are stealing my food.
That too, right?
Oh,
you can talk to them, right? At the same time through the camera.
So awkward.
Yeah.
So they won't even know where it's coming from.
Put the pasta back.
So Oscar here, he's like, I was doing a service on my skimmer and accidentally bumped out my temp probe on my tank, overheated. I saw him posting around. He was having some issues.
Wow. Oscar has a big tank. Oscar, you got to put in the comments how big this guy. If I'm not mistaken, he has big tanks.
We checked that one out.
So how long would it take? How long does it take if you drop the temperature in your reef tank, Ryan, to correct it?
I don't know. I've never had to deal with it.
How many heaters do you have in your tank?
I got two.
And they heat that. What are they? 500 watts?
Yeah.
Okay, because I have the 500 watts.
Yeah,
I'm impressed.
I got two 500s, and I have it a temperature for like 78, and it's usually not a problem. It's winter here now in Canada. They're working perfectly fine. Tank's staying where it should be. Even in the summer, they barely turn on, so it's even better.
So the camera I'm using, Facebook user, I'm not promoting it because I'm not sponsoring them. I pay for it. I'm testing it. I don't want you to buy it and be like, oh, this thing sucks. Let me kick the tires, because the way I do everything is I don't mention anything until I've kicked it for a while. And I will say that has been performing abnormally. Don't choke, Sean.
I just heard you talking about a control there, mister.
Oscar says he's got a 180 gallon.
Yeah.
So D, the correct disclosure line is, I generally don't do that.
Generally I do not. What did I say this time?
You said point blank you do not, but you were just talking about the control and putting it through the ringer and everything. I just found
No. I says I'm going to add it. I'm not promoting it. I says I'm going to kick the tires. I'm going to test it. I'm going to test it like everything else, live and direct. I'm going to show how I set it up. I'm going to show what works for me. If something I don't like, I fix, or I go back and say, hey, why don't you do this? Or could you do that? Same thing I do with anything, like a light. I said, this light is it's not a plant light. It's not an aquarium light.
Yeah.
Don't drop it in the water because you'll electrocute yourself and the fish. But the fact of it is, it serves its purpose and it grows plants. So the reason I do that is because people get overwhelmed with a name. And if I say this camera is the best thing, I love the picture idea, people run out by the camera. They don't know nothing about it. You don't know how I have it hooked up. I have a USB port in my power supply. So no one asked what power it runs on. That's why I don't go out and say that. Oh, it's this, it's that, it's this, unless I test it and then I show you the camera, the specs, and how I'm using it.
Yep.
Full disclosure. Full.
It's a good way to run by.
Very much so. Although, we've been talking about all of these different things with, CO2 and what fish to add and Ryan's lighting and his water wall and everything. But we haven't really talked about what you guys are actually doing for your builds. Like, Ryan's like, I got the Wolverine. Okay, cool. What is it? Because some people don't know about it.
Now, I'm leaving it to you and Ryan to come up with a name for mine, because I have no name skills for my builds. I'm just gonna say I'm going to
tank.
What is it?
The Betty Boop tank.
Oh, come on, don't do that to me, man. Will I put a pair of panties on it or something? I don't know what that means.
Do Hello Kitty run it like pink and black or something? Like, I don't know.
Hey, look, real men can wear pink and still get it going. Wolverine, maybe I gotta do like, what are you, Marvel? Maybe I gotta go DC or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe I'll do Deadpool, but that's kind of like my fish are gonna die or something. I don't know.
I'm trying to find a picture of my tanks.
This stand that this tank is on, the nano tank, the stand is old. It's not a stand, it's a cabinet that had a pull down drawer, which I thought was awesome because I did all my testing on that pull down drawer. I pull it down. So I'm going to rebuild a stand. I'm going to integrate 2 bigger tanks into that stand. I'm going to change the lighting and automate as much as I can on the tank without going completely high tech. So I'm going to keep it simple, but monitor it.
Ryan, we need a triggered slide that comes on when somebody puts something on. We'll be like, oh, somebody's about to get triggered or something because D just got a question now. And whether or not you like the D Sunny lights and would recommend them.
Would I recommend the Dasani lights? I have the Dasani lights. I've outgrown them. They do the job. I have them. They've grown everything that I wanted them to grow. Soft coral, I didn't grow the SPS in the tank that I have the Dasani lights on. So I won't say that they're going to grow SPS, although somebody may contradict that. I like them now. Now that I'm automating in a different way, I'm looking at how much I'm going to control those lights through one app instead of having its own controller. So like I know AI primes and the Ecotex, you can incorporate them into the Apex or like your Hydros. If you have a controller, you can incorporate some of these things into that. I'm trying to control everything in my house from one device, and that's going to be my phone.
I'm trying to.
And matter of fact, since K-Town Reefer mentioned Dasani, I will say that Dasani I did find was using a video of me that I didn't give them permission to use.
Oh,
So
geez.
I pulled all of that out, just plain and simple. So K-Town, I'm trying to be fair and not beat anybody up, but yeah, I'm not promoting them, bro, because they did something shaky, and I did a good thing and they made it a bad thing, so I'm not promoting them at all.
Well, there you go. I threw up a picture of my 420 there.
Oh, nice.
If the people haven't checked out
So
YouTube or anything.
You're getting a good amount of light through that left-hand side.
There you go. Come on there. Check it out.
I mean, it's got a blind though, D.
But that's a good but here it is.
I could black it out. But wouldn't it be cool? Natural light in there though?
And that's what I was gonna say. If you have your flow starting from that side of the tank, let's say you have long stem plants like Vallisneria planted at that end of the tank, not only will they grow and thrive, but they'll blow towards the other end of the tank.
Yeah, it would be pretty cool, right?
Yeah, I would like to see that.
So I have two big pieces of driftwood that on the right-hand side back corner, they're long roots that come right out through the tank that I'm going to have that's going to come out of the tank. And I have another smaller one I was going to do on the left side. So we can do the left side there's longer plants, like you said.
So if you have the flow going from left to right, if you have the flow blowing from the window side to the other side, then your fish would probably be swimming against that current. If you had a nice school of fish, that would look awesome.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I have those CJ pumps. I can place them anywhere I want to create that flow, because if I do put like a driftwood or different rocks in here, I'll be able to direct the flow around it, right?
And that C-shape pump is strong now. I have the C-shape pump with my airline tube, not a CO2 line, running into the C-shape pump, and that's how I bubble scrub the whole tank. So the water blows all the way across the tank in that mist of bubbles. It's awesome. I just do it when people come over just to see what they say. It puts on a show.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
There's my buddy James looking at it like, what the hell are we going to do?
It's monstrous.
He put it in his trailer there. It was just me and him that got it into the house.
So now all the weed smokers in the world want to know, why did you pick the number 420 for the size?
Why?
And not 400. Why not 450 or 400?
Because
I just wanted extra 20 gallons.
Or why not 430?
Just to say I did. I don't know. It's just the way it planned it out in dimensions to fit.
How about $49.99?
49. Jeez. But yeah. Plus, it just like you said, right? It gets a little catchy there.
I mean, it definitely gets you thinking.
Exactly.
I mean, we know it's legal up in Canada in certain provinces.
And there we are. That's when James and we went into Ottawa, picked it all up.
So now, have you calculated how much you're gonna plant that tank? Are you gonna plant it heavy from day one, or are you gonna try to scatter it and grow like a carpet, or have you thought about that yet?
I'd like to have a bit of carpet area. I'm just trying to picture how I want to see it, because I'm gonna have the driftwood in the corner with the root system going out through the tank. I'm thinking that area of some rocks, a little bit of, like you said, the patches of the green, and then we'll slowly go into the taller plants, like you said, by the window. It depends. I'm gonna have to fool around with it. It's aquascaping, right? I don't know how
It's
going to look.
aquascaping, and if you're trying to carp it, I'll tell you that is more of an area where you're going to need the CO2. A lot of like dwarf baby tears and plants like that will look for CO2 to grow. It's hard to grow them without that. I've tried and failed.
Yeah. So yeah, I want to try to incorporate sort of different areas in the tank for different species of fish, I think. What I'd like to do. Amy says, don't block the window.
Don't block the window? No, why would you? That's free. That's Mother Nature. That's going to grow your plants better than any light will.
Oscar's like, how many tetras can you think you could fit in that tank?
Depends on what kind of tetra.
Yeah.
I like Amy's answer. 726.
726.
It's very specific. I like it.
All right. How come it could be 720?
Well, the thing about freshwater is, if your fish die in a 420, you'll never find it. You'll probably just see them disappear.
Yeah, true.
And if you get enough shrimp on them all every single day, you're never going to know that you lost any anyways.
Yeah, you got a point there.
I know Oscar's answer. Oscar would put his African cichlids in there. I know he loves African cichlids and whatnot.
Don't you have to worry about like having an extremely low pH and like hardness level and stuff with them though?
With African cichlid, it depends on which fish you get. I mean, most of the fish that we get in the stores now are pretty much raised in close to neutral water. Just like most of the saltwater fish that we get now, if you go to 5 different stores have different, some are, 0.25, some are 1.20, some are hypersalinity, some are concentrated salinity. I used to keep mine at like 127 for a while.
Really?
Yeah, because I had an issue with tangs getting ick, and people were saying to drop the salinity. I raised it, and I haven't had that problem for quite a few years now. But, it may be something else I'm doing. I don't know.
Yeah. For your fresh tank, so like, what are you hitting at for a pH?
pH is basically 7.2. It's neutral. Okay. Like this tank has
like I've read it.
Tank has pond water. What I'm doing in this cube is I took the water from the pond outside and I've containered it. So through the winter, I didn't drain my pond, and I'm hoping I don't get any damage to it. I didn't split it because it's above ground. I'm doing my water changes with rainwater. So the rainwater pH, and I wish I had my pH meter here. I could get it, but it's 7.1. It's almost completely neutral.
You want to know a trick so you don't smash out your ponds or whatever? Just take empty milk containers and just throw them in there.
Well, there's water in there.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
So it'll float?
Yeah, you'll float, but what's going to happen when it freezes, it'll freeze, but it'll crush the bottle, and it won't break your holding containers. Because
that's a good idea.
It's going to crush that container, so the ice will just, there's nowhere for it to go.
That's a good idea, because I already split one container. And the fish are in there, so in the spring, we're going to see if those, white clouds you could do, Ryan. If I had a picture of the white clouds, oh, man. The white clouds are a beautiful fish. Very hard to get. I don't know if you can get them in Canada.
Can you
Let me see if I can move this. I should probably. I'm doing it the ghetto way, people.
Oh, Oscar, he's thinking about getting a freshwater tank. He's going to
Come on, Oscar.
He's going to get.
Oh, man, I can't do it. Damn it. Oh, wait, I got the camera. What the hell am I doing?
See, we'll do our freshwater shows, and we'll see how many people turn into freshwater.
Well, I thought Oscar was all freshwater.
So, Sean?
Nope, too much work.
Too much work.
It seems like
convince people to switch to fresh. Like you guys have been hounding me for a month and a half now.
Well, here's the deal. It depends on the saltwater. Don't you think you reef unique or reef centric people want another challenge? My challenge is to apply the same science both ways.
Yeah. Wow. I'm super salty right now.
Why?
Because I just found out through a text message real quick. I don't know if you guys can really see that. Apparently, my dad just flipped his trailer, and I didn't hear anything about it.
Whoa,
Ouch.
whoa, that's his trailer sideways?
Yeah,
Ay, ay, ay. Hope he's all right?
yeah,
Yeah.
he's fine, which is why I haven't heard anything about it. But yeah, why am I getting? Now I'm gonna have to yell at him. Near-death experience. It doesn't bother calling me. It's like, let me post this to Facebook.
Right? That's how you find.
Isn't that the world we live in now?
That's how I found out my brother was having another baby.
For Facebook, no
People-
one calls you anymore. It's the age we live in. That's why everything is automated.
Yep.
Now I refuse. Like it's so. Oh, my pH probe is right here. See how dumb and cluttered I am? It's sitting in front of me. Why is this sitting in front of me? Because I was testing my pH. That makes sense. So I don't have a pH. I have the thanks to my man New York Gold D, got me the pH probe because I was complaining that I'd never test the pH in my freshwater tanks. Question, all you freshwater people, do you test your pH? I know a lot of you don't, and if you say you do, a lot of you are lying.
That's why I'm looking forward to like hooking up the hydros, having the pH on there. It's gonna be nice.
My fish live in whatever pH my water comes out of my RODI unit.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I don't know what it is. I'm terrible freshwater fish owner.
So my pH is dropping 7.6, dropping 7.5, dropping. Oh, it's actually high. 7.5.
7.5. I was reading the your pH can be between 6.5 and 7.8 in a freshwater planet.
Yeah, 7.5. Guys can see that 7.5.
Yep.
And these things are awesome, even if you have the probe on your tank, because as you guys know, my probe on the Neptune was really old. And until Terrence embarrassed me and says, "D, you probably need to recalibrate and replace that probe." You really don't know if something's working until you test it. Even if you think everything is working, test it.
Yeah, always. I'm always testing my pH probes all the time just to make sure because of my calcium reactor.
So these little guys here, you can see in this 2.5 gallon tank are killifish from my boy Victor Hung. Victor breeds the most amazing killifish, and while I'm looking at that tank, I'm gonna pull the killifish that he gave me, which is spectacular. The pH of that tank is 5.5.
Oh, okay. So
And I didn't know that. I would acclimate in the fish, and I says, "Hey, let me test this tank water," and I found it was 5.5. So let me pull this picture up real quick.
So Oscar's asking, are freshwater fish more sensitive to pH swings?
It depends on the fish, because the killifish, for instance, comes from an area where they are annual fish in some areas, and some of the fish live 3 to 4 years like regular or any other fish. Now, this particular killifish is not annual, but it's an egg layer, and it likes a low pH of 6.5 and lower. You can raise it in a higher pH, but the lifespan is shorter from what he told me. So if you guys are saying that freshwater fish are not as beautiful as saltwater fish, you haven't seen the killifish, my friend. There are I have another species which I'll show you that he gave me here. And this top one, I'll find a better picture. This top one, the Northobronchius.
Yep.
Let me see. I need a better picture. Spectacular fish. Spectacular fish. And you can have, I have these. These are my North American flagfish. I raised those outside. I bred them outside in the pond. And my babies, if I can get them to come out, babies. They probably won't come out now because I got the camera on. I have breeding pair of those in this tank, that are 2 years old now and look exactly like that picture.
Yeah, those are beautiful. Holy smokes.
So you can even get, and those are, well, I know that you're in Canada, but those are North American native species of I think they're considered a killifish actually,
Okay.
but they're not annual. They are durable. I've had these fish outside in 45-degree water. They were born in December of 2018, 2018.
Okay.
40-degree water, those fish were outside. It was a layer of ice on the top of the water, and they're still here. So, just examples of some beautiful fish that you can raise in the tank. I'm going to show you something else. Another fish that may just turn the tides. If you look at the rummy nose tetra
Those
is
are nice.
a tightly schooling fish, very tightly schooled, very hardy. If you got a school of those, they paint quite the picture. My boy Mike in Massachusetts, he built a 120. He had a school of 20 of those in a planted tank. If you walk past the tank in the room, you saw a cloud of fish move across the tank. Very nice fish, very durable. Now, Regina, I've
Yeah.
heard that, but here's the trick. Not aggressive. I had my buddy Don, he bought some fish that were larger, already in a bigger tank. If you get them smaller and introduce them with fish, I have nano fish in here. I have bumblebee gobies in this cube tank that are, I don't know how to do it in metrics, but they are a quarter of an inch.
Really?
Quarter of an inch is, I guess, half the size of a dime, right? If I'm not somewhere in that area. Never pecked at them. I have longfin leopard daniels that I bred. I took a zebra daniel, a leopard daniel, and a glow daniel. I put them outside in the pond. I ended up with this hybrid. Nobody has pecked fins. Nobody has lost color. So nanofish. I have Stiflodontis, if I can remember the scientific name, which is a peacock gudgeon. Right here, hard to see. I'll pull up that picture for you. I know Rachel Leary put me on to those, and pardon my bad typing.
You're like the freshwater king.
The peacock gudgeon is so hard to get. It looks exactly like the second picture.
Yeah.
I have 5 of those.
Isn't that cool? That looks like a saltwater one.
This picture, when I tell you, cannot do the fish justice.
Really, eh? I've never seen that before.
They cannot do it justice. It is a beautiful fish. If I point to the tank, he comes to me. He comes to me.
They're all in the corner there. I can see it.
Yeah, he literally comes. So a pretty intelligent fish. They think they're going to eat. This is my hybrid nano fish tank. The super cube is for what I call hard to find fish. I have
That's cool.
Celestial pearls. I should wear my glasses. These fish are pretty hard to find, but very pretty fish. Very pretty. If you can find a school of them, I recommend at least 6 to 10 of those in any size tank. If you bought them,
Yeah.
they are very pretty fish.
Yeah, those are awesome.
The male has this spectacular courting phase where they flutter really fast and they sit above each other. I had that once, and I have not seen my male in a while, so either they're breeding or dead. I'm hoping it's the first part.
Okay.
It was breeding, and it turns completely spotted, bright yellow, the tail. Very pretty fish. When you have big tanks and you keep big fish a long time, it's such a turn to have a variety of so many little hard to find fish because you can get so many. Think of
Yeah.
how many fish you can get on 400.
That's
You
what I mean.
can have so many rare fish, and you don't have to worry about one eating the other, or
The
Yep.
one in the upper right there looks like the one that I have.
This one,
in the upper right one.
the pearl Daniel.
Yeah. The rainbow trout looking one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
look-
the common. That's the common female. The female will be lighter. The male will have that yellow distinct line in the fins. You'll see the lines in the fins, which is how they put on their courtship dance. They'll flutter really, really quick, and they'll put on the show for the female, and the colors are spectacular.
Huh.
Spectacular. So, Oscar, you could get like 400 of those in your 180.
Oscar was asking you, do you know what? If you answer my question, what soil did you use for your planted tanks?
This tank, as I was telling Ryan, I made a mixture of my soil because I wasn't sure what kind of fish I was going to put in it. And some of these fish have kind of spectacular like pH needs. I have a layer of soil, not fertilized soil, but regular, not potting mix, regular plain soil that I mix with peat moss. And what else did I put in? Peat moss, soil, and sand, so that the sand would not compact. I mixed it with the soil and bucket, and I put it in this tank. And it's hard to see, but if you go really, really close in, I covered it with river rock and pea gravel. So one side has river rock, which is behind this tank.
Yep.
One side has river rock. Like if you were doing your tank, Ryan, I would say like the window side that have the heavier rock.
Yep.
And then as it escapes out, they have the thinner stuff.
Yep.
So that the pumps don't blow it all over.
Yep, makes sense.
And the layer is covered under the really pebble gravel. So my plants can root up, but it doesn't compact.
Yep, makes sense.
And everything's doing pretty good, but the light made a difference. The light definitely made a difference. Because I have a potted plant in here that I had in my window. It wouldn't grow. It's been the same size for a year. Right now, up in the top, and you can't really see it, but that plant is 2 feet from the back glass to the front. And I have peppermint, which I haven't seen anybody in any aquarium grow mint in a tank at all. If anybody out there, as they're growing it, send me a message because I want to see what you're growing. This mint is growing out of the tank. It's going to be out of the tank, I would say, by January. I have pothos, mint, bamboo, and whatever the name of this house plant is. I don't even know the name of it. I just said, let me plant it half out of the water to see if it would grow.
Yep. Yeah, pretty neat, man.
Ooh. Will, you poor man. Got a 10-gallon planted aquarium 2 weeks ago, and the plants are dying back.
Well, Will, what kind of light do you have on it? What kind of filtration do you have on it? I didn't have any filtration in this tank up until last month.
Yeah.
None. I had a sponge filter that I made out of PVC.
And you can get away with that on a lot of lower demand type fresh tanks if you have a good quality water source.
If you have a large supply of plants filtering the water.
That too.
See, the pothos, if you use pothos, it grows so fast that the root structure is 30 inches from the top. The roots will grow faster to absorb all the nutrients out of the water. The more that plant grows, the cleaner your water becomes. All I was doing was bubbling the water with a filter sponge. I just recently added the Eheim because I had it sitting around the house, and I says, hey, let me put the Eheim on there. And it actually, it cleared the water because the water would be yellow. If you have a lot of plants, it'll be yellow.
See, so he's running a Kessel Nano Sun and a sponge filter.
Okay, so the sponge filter is fine, but if you're not running that sponge filter long enough and you're not changing the water because it's a 10-gallon, then you got to keep a close eye on it. If I had a picture of the 10, I run my 10-gallon that heater just went on. That 10 gallons running on a sponge filter, and that's it. There's so many plants in that tank. If I have a picture of it here, I'll post it. That you can't tell if they're going into the dirt or not. That's how much the plants grow out of the tank.
Okay.
So if you guys aren't subbed to my channel, go sub it and you'll see that tank. That's what I'm gonna do. Cheap promo.
Promo it.
All right. Well, we have tied everybody up for like an hour and a half here that's been watching us talking about randomness.
Randomness.
Yeah. If you guys want more freshwater stuff or us to research and delve into something a little more specific, let us know. I mean, I'm not against doing these random little pop-up shows, but I like to be a little better prepared.
Yeah. Just a night before Christmas type thing. Christmas is coming.
Exactly. It's just fun chatting about this stuff anyway.
I can't wait to see Ryan set this tank up. Because he thinks that the planted side, how could a person that has so much technology into the reef side think that the planted side is so much more intimidating?
My biggest thing is making it look good. That's what I'm intimidated to do.
That's the hard part. I mean, with a reef tank, you can throw a whole bunch of rock in there, have it look like crap, and put a bunch of coral in there, and eventually it's going to grow out and it's going to look amazing.
Yeah.
You can't do that with a planted tank.
No,
But most of the reef people say the same thing. They're intimidated by the reef tank because they're scared to throw a lot of coral in there and have them die. So
yeah,
I
that's
just had a huge colony to my office tank, and I'm just like, did I really want to do that though in a tank that I kind of neglect and only see every other day?
hey, perfect example of why you need a camera.
Exactly.
You can check on that tank 24 hours a day. If I'm in bed and I want to say good night and I don't feel like going to sleep, I can tune in from my bedroom and look at the tanks in the basement and turn the lights on from my phone. Oh, I'm so spoiled. I blame Ryan for this.
right. Why do
He
you?
got me tech geeking. I'm geeking out on tech.
Well, it's fun, right? That's what I enjoy.
Oh, it's fun, man. I'm
I
spoiled.
prefer it.
Yeah. Well, I guess we should wrap it up, guys. We've been in here for an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But it was fun. Like, I like talking about the freshwater stuff and learning all about it. And what a better way to do it. You know what I mean, D?
Yeah, and I'm going to go on the Farm Boy Reef forum. I'm going to go onto my forum and post how many saltwater people started off as freshwater people. And if so, do you still have freshwater tanks in the background?
Well, exactly. And I'm trying to get more fresh stuff going on in the Farm Boy Reef Club as well. Trying to get a bit of that going on for everybody as well. So I'm trying to do a topic of each day, fresh and reef tanks.
Cool.
Get involved, because the more I see them post about stuff, I learn as well, right? So why not?
And if you want to keep track of all of these builds that we got going on, you better check out BeavsReef, subscribe, check out Farm Boy Reef, subscribe, check out D from Brooklyn, subscribe, because that's where you're going to get the updates, the reviews, and the setup information.
Yeah, exactly. The more you guys tune into our show, hit subscribe and all that stuff helps us, keep making content for you guys and having fun. And that's what it's all about. Hit those subscribe buttons, hit the likes. You know what I mean? It really helps out. And you always got to hit those little bells, those stupid bells that YouTube's got on there. I don't
know why.
Me, I can't believe I've missed so many episodes because I'm not getting their notifications. I don't understand why YouTube would put that.
I don't know why they ever started that bell. I used to get every notification. Now I know for a fact people are making stuff and I'm missing it.
Yeah, it's crazy. They're like, whoa, you're onto a different bill, Lord? I'm like, yeah. They're like, well, we didn't even have the bell turned on. You know what I mean? And then they're far behind. But yeah, like seriously. But definitely, guys, if you guys can all subscribe to our channels, that would be awesome.
And not for nothing, that's how we know what content to make.
Yeah.
Because it's not like we're fishing for subscriptions and all that. But
no,
are you leaving comments? I can't talk tonight. By you leaving comments, this is how we know what questions you have and what you want to see. And then I'll go out and make a review of the camera.
Yeah.
Or I'll go out and make a review of how I made the substrate and what I used and how I mixed it.
Exactly. The stuff we put on this channel, you'll see it here first. And tomorrow you'll see it somewhere else.
It better not, or I get really peeved. I know we'll probably see it, but the message to you out there, if you put it out there, I'm gonna get you.
Well, that's the world we live in.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess imitation is the form of flattery that we should expect.
Exactly. You watch and see.
What's that hashtag trendsetter?
Yeah, exactly.
Hashtag reef to fresh.
Hey,
I'm going to make that hashtag reef to fresh.
You know, technically you're an influencer if you influence just one person.
Yeah, it's very true.
I'm just saying, you know, we're all influencers because we're influencing people to take our stuff.
I like to consider myself a positive role model.
Well, you got to try to be. Like, it's like having, if you have a tank and you have a freshwater tank and you're making content, then you're educating and you're having a good time. But if you don't have a tank and you're just, you're selling products and trying to do reviews, but you don't even have a tank, like, I don't understand why anybody takes you serious in this model. There's a lot of that going on,
Well, anybody looking at content, when you look at anyone's content on the web, be advised, if you don't see them doing what they're telling you to do, be skeptical, because I have failures, I have successes. I have many different types of tanks. I don't promote unless I use it, and I use it if it works. That's all I have to say.
I mean, I have more failures than successes.
But some people won't show the failures, and that's a problem, because if someone follows your advice and they fail and you don't show your failure, what kind of influencer are you? You're a bad influence. I call that a bad influence, because you can't show a very successful tank, but that's not the one that you're dosing so and so and so. You're dosing 15 part or whatever it is, but not on the tank behind you.
Yeah, it makes sense. You see a lot of that this day and age.
Oh, I see a lot of it, and it's not fair to you, the viewers, because you want an honest and unbiased opinion. I've used all the equipment that I mentioned, and I buy all of my equipment, or I test all of my equipment, or I hands-on kicked it and put it through the runs, or I've seen it do what it does.
Yep, exactly. That's all we can do.
I mean, I buy all of my stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Like,
and regardless, there's nothing wrong with if you don't buy it and you get it, whatever the case may be. I just see people using things that I look at their system, and being in this hobby 30 plus years, I've seen a lot of equipment come and go, and I see people unfairly backing stuff that they don't use, whether it be fish food, whether it be equipment, lights, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
I just like all these people that are backing a certain controller company that can't even get live streams working properly, and it makes you wonder, if they can't get a live stream working, how do you know their controller actually works?
Hey,
I'm just saying, food for thought. I'm not judging anybody or anything, but food for thought. Look at the source of the information.
Yep, very true, very true. All I can say is, if like, my tanks are my babies, and I want good products that are gonna work on there. If it doesn't work, I'm not gonna put it on there. Like, I have lots of stuff here that I could be using, but I don't believe in it, and I don't use it, and I'm not gonna show it to my viewers because it's garbage. You know what I mean? But I can't go say it's garbage and what it is. But guess I could. But then make trolls out there and everybody go crazy.
Well, for my New York people, they know, all my New York people see me at these meetings. They see me in person. They see me at the door. What you see is what you get. I am me. I'm all that I can be. I tell you straight from the gut what I'm going to say, and the proof is in the pudding. My boy Logan is over there. He wanted to get discus right out the back. He bought a tank. We had in storage. We got the tank. First thing I gave him, and if Logan is there, I gave him his first book on discus. I said, before you buy anything like me, I made mistakes. I read that book cover to cover before I bought him, and I'm still learning. And I go online and I say, look, does anybody know a better way to feed? If I'm allergic to bloodworms, I can't feed bloodworms. Does anybody have you ask.
Yep.
Somebody acts like they know everything. They usually don't.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Sorry, Sean.
No, we're good. We said
we were on the soapbox. We got on the soapbox there for a minute.
we don't want to get me on the soapbox, because everybody knows I'm the guy that will just let the word vomit happen, and I will throw it out there. I'm trying to exercise restraint so that everybody can have a Merry Christmas. Just remind me on Saturday, and then I'll let it go.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see you guys all back on Saturday.
Love, peace, and hair grease. Enjoy those tanks. Don't kill anything, and be nice to each other.
Right. Stay safe. Don't catch COVID. Happy holidays. Hope you guys all enjoy them, and we'll see you this weekend.
And don't copy our stuff.
What the heck you do?
I don't know. I'm just saying that.
All right, guys. Well, everybody have a great night. Thanks for tuning in this spontaneous show. But we'll see you guys all on Saturday. See you.